Why can't you get anything done? The answer is mental obesity. Let me explain. When do you become actually obese, like fat? It's when you consume a lot of calories, but you don't use a lot of calories. And the same exact thing happens with your mind. Think about it. Mental obesity happens when you consume a lot of information, a lot of tips, a lot of strategies, a lot of tactics, but you don't use a lot of strategies, tips, tactics, information. You listen to lots of podcasts, you watch a lot of YouTube, you listen to a lot of reels, and you read a lot of books about how to get stuff done, how to take action, how to win in business, in marriage, in your health, whatever it is. You learn a lot about it, you consume these things about it, but you don't do much about it. Your brain is stuffed with those ideas, but there's no action to burn the calories away, if you like. You binge watch motivational content, but you still press snooze on your alarm. You know what you should do deep down, but you're still stuck in the cycle of consumption without creation of anything. And so what happens? An overloaded mind, paralyzed actions, and frustration. And here's the harsh truth, and it will hurt for those who've learned a lot about productivity, getting stuff done, time management, but they still haven't reached many of their big goals in life. The harsh truth is that knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. Every time you consume without taking action on it, you're just feeding your mental obesity. And what's worse is you're actually training your brain to take more and more information in, but not take action on it. It's like eating a tub of ice cream while sitting on the sofa, scrolling through your phone, hoping that you'll lose weight from it. And if you look carefully at the Quran, you'll see this pattern as well, that wherever Allah mentions knowledge, He mentions action close to it. What does Allah say in the beginning of Surah As-Saff? He says that He hates it when people say what they do not do. And when you're learning a lot, you're going to share that information. You're going to be the guy who knows all these tips. But what are you doing? Allah says, كَبُرَ مَقْتًا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَن تَقُولُوا مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ. And also Allah gives the example of a donkey when it comes to not taking action. He says those that have the Torah, but they don't implement it, they don't actually follow it, they're like a donkey carrying these heavy books. And that was because the Jews who had the Torah, they didn't follow it, but they were proud that they had it. Yeah, Allah revealed this book to us. Yes, we've got this book. It's kind of like imagine someone who's got this big library of all these productivity and self-help books, but they've not actually done much in their life. And of course, it might just be qadar that they haven't reached the end goal, but what amount of action are they actually taking? So never be proud of your knowledge, be proud of your applied knowledge. And thank Allah for it, of course. But there's actually more to it than just having knowledge, not taking action on it. Everyone knows that high-calorie foods like crisps, like ice cream, they're quite addictive. They tingle the neurons in our brain in a special way. In fact, scientists that work at these food companies, they even experiment on the best crunch, the most satisfying crunch of that crisp. And they do all this to make it the most addictive, so you buy it again and again. You see, if crisp company is selling a pack of crisps for $1, $2, $3 pounds, they're not going to make much profit out of that. The way they need to make profit is for you to keep buying it week in, week out. So what do they need to do? They need you to get addicted. That would be the most profitable thing for them. And now the problem is for us, is that consuming information, it can have the exact same impact. You see, when you hear some new information, a new technique, your mind lights up. You get excited about the potential that this has for you to catapult forward into your goals. And of course, take more action. That's what you want. And when your mind lights up, that actually is addictive. It actually feels to your brain a little bit like progress, but it isn't, is it? It's fake progress. You see, when you learn without taking action on it, you've tricked your brain into thinking that something good has actually happened and that behavior should be repeated again and again. You've tricked your brain into thinking that you've achieved something when really you're just spinning your wheels watching another YouTube video. That rush that you feel, that excitement you feel when you've discovered that new hack, that's dopamine. It's your brain rewarding you for learning without necessarily taking action on a neurological level for the idea itself, not for the action. It's like fantasizing about what it would be like to have a six-pack while eating a donut. It feels good there and then, but in reality, you've not made an inch of progress, let's be real. And now here's where it gets really dark. Let's take it another step deeper. You open YouTube and you see a lot of videos pop up. You've got some about productivity, some about business. Maybe if you're interested in health these days, some videos about that will pop up. And each one of them is titled in a way where you feel like there'll be some new information in them. So you go ahead and you click it. You watch the video and it's got really good tips in it. It's got real solid new information that you get hope then that you're actually going to implement it and get real results out of that. But that hope feels so good that you're satisfied by learning rather than doing. So what do? You go and watch another video to get that hope, to get that feeling, to get that excitement. And then what happens? Rinse and repeat. This is mental obesity at its peak. And in the end, you are full of potential, but you're starving for actual results and action. So the big question is, why do we do it? It's not just you and I. So many of us do this. And it's really weird why we do this when we know deep down, if I ask you, does action help you or just information help you? You would say action. But somehow we're stuck in this cycle of really getting excited about new information and new tips. Well, the first reason is that our brain wants to avoid hardship, effort, pain. This is just how we're wired and it's natural. Can you imagine going to work using the 2-hour route instead of the 30-minute one? Or managing loads of data with a pen and paper instead of on a spreadsheet? Doing things the hard, slow way just uses up precious resources, even resources that Allah told us to be careful of wasting, like time. But not just time, energy that we need to make the best use of as well. So no, I don't accept the idea that we evolved from a caveman and cavemen were dumb and that's why we do this. It's actually part of Allah's perfect design that we do this so we don't waste energy and effort. And when we don't waste time and effort and energy, what can we do? We can worship Allah better. We can do what Allah pleases Him. It really works. You see, in our daily life, 7 out of 10 times, we should actually do that easy thing, do it the more efficient way that will serve us. But 3 times out of 10, it would be better for us to do the hard thing. It's the type of thing that will benefit us after we die. It's something that we can't quite conceptualize now in the moment, but in the future will have that big payoff, but we just can't tangibly see it right now. And that's why Allah says, وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى. For the one who fears his meeting with his Lord on Yawm al-Qiyamah, and he fought back, he resisted his base desires, فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. Then Jannah will be his place. They get Jannah for that. So Allah designed us in the perfect way. 7 times out of 10, we should do the easier thing. But 3 times out of 10, we must hold back our desires for ease, ease, ease. The other reason that we get mentally obese is something that Shaitan loves for us to do. And maybe that's why we do it. He loves to take a good intention to do something good that you have, like improving yourself, achieving your goals, starting a business, trying to lose weight, trying to gain muscle, trying to get stronger, and turning that into something that humiliates you, that makes you fail, that makes you even sin. So the second reason that we fall into mental obesity is that instant gratification is addictive. Now, this is really scary to think about, but people in the gambling business, they know this very, very well. They know that if they can feed you dopamine or give you this thought that you have a very good chance of winning, then you'll do it again and again and again. You'll get addicted, basically. And researchers like B.F. Skinner found that if you don't give the reward every single time, but you also don't give it never, you give it in an unpredictable way, then that is when the maximum addictive effect kicks in. Now, let me ask you something a bit deep and a bit serious. When you're on YouTube, when you're listening to a podcast, when you're reading a new book, isn't that what you're getting? There is an unpredictable chance that you'll find a tip, you'll find a strategy, you'll find something that gives you that hit. What we're dealing with here is prime for addiction. Now, you might say it's not a drug addiction or a smoking addiction, something like that. It's an addiction to self-development. It's really good. It's actually a beneficial addiction. Well, yes, it's not as bad as those kind of addictions. But the problem is, when you're taking that crack, you know this is bad for you. No drug user thinks that the drugs are good for them. It's just they need to scratch the itch. But when you're fiending for that next morning routine, we actually think it's good. We actually feel this is a good thing. I've learned something new. This could change my life. This could make me worship Allah more, build a business, whatever. But repeat this after me. It is only good if I implement it and it gives me results. Nothing else makes it good. But there is yet another deep reason why we get sucked into this mental obesity. And it's not so obvious. Sometimes we go and watch content about how to be more productive, how to manage our time, how to get ahead in business, etc. Not because we're avoiding the work, we're avoiding the pain like we just discussed, but it's actually because we haven't defined the work clearly enough. The next exact task that we need to carry out, it's vague. It's not clear in our heads exactly what the next step is. And when tasks are unclear, they become hard and they just become intimidating. We don't want to do them anymore. It's as simple as that, really. Now, of course, we need to fight back against this. We need to beat shaitan. We need to take action and get rid of this content addiction. So now the question, of course, is, so how do we fight back against shaitan, against our nafs, against the addiction content machine? Well, the first thing you need to do is confront reality at its core. That taking action is a rare commodity in 2025, but it's what you need to focus on fixing. If you're unsure, then just know that you probably do consume way too much information for the amount of action that you're taking. Try and follow this specific ratio. For every hour that you take action, only spend 5 to 10 minutes on learning or planning. The second solution to this mental obesity is that you need to take action first. You can consume some content, but don't consume it first. Don't allow yourself to. Brian Tracy, the big business and self-development author, he called this eating the frog. Because if you woke up in the morning knowing that that day you had to eat a frog, it would be heavy on you the whole day. You'd be dreading it, knowing that you've got this task to do that you just hate. It's just weighing down on you, but you still have to do it. So what do? You eat it in the morning. First thing, the worst thing, the most horrible thing that you've got to do that day, the thing that feels heavy and burdensome, do it right away in the morning. And once you do that, it's gone. The heaviest thing is gone. And that heavy thing is also usually the most beneficial, the thing that will take you the closest to your goals. And now that you've done that, you could kind of take it easy for the rest of the day, knowing that you've done the hardest thing, the most beneficial thing. Now, the next way to overcome mental obesity is to clearly define what your task is, so that there's no guessing of what you actually have to do when you sit down to do it. Define it very clearly. Define all your tasks before you're sitting down to do them. I mentioned exactly how to do this, how to break them down and make them clear in this video that I'll link somewhere here. But not forcing your brain to think about what I have to do as well as doing the task is extremely important in getting things done. The fourth thing you can do, especially if you have content addiction, is to work in short bursts. Use the Pomodoro technique, for example. This allows you to make real progress on your goals even when you don't feel like it. You know, some of us, our brains have been kind of fried to the point where we can't do any task that we don't really feel like doing or that we find is hard, and we'll put it off for months and months and months because of that feeling. But the Pomodoro technique gets over that, because all you have to do is get a timer. Now, I actually just ordered a physical timer that I could just press the button to start the timer, but I've been using on my computer for months and years. And you're going to set it for 25 minutes. Now, what this does to your brain is lets you know that this pain that you're going to go through of having to concentrate and do that hard task, whatever it is, maybe a task you've been putting off for months and months, it's only going to last 25 minutes. It cannot get worse than spending 25 minutes on it. So you work for 25 minutes and then take a 5-minute break. This allows your brain to know that there's a break coming as well. And then after that break, you can go for another session if you can, 25 minutes again, put the timer on. See how many of these you can do in a day. Just 4 of these sessions per day will probably make a big difference to the progress that you're making. And it really works because you could just tell your brain that just focus. I know you can't focus. I know you're not used to doing this. I know you want to watch another video to learn another technique, but just do this for 25 minutes. And then you can get a break. And a big solution that I also do to deal with my mental obesity is to deal with just-in-time instead of just-in-case information. What does this look like? Learn marketing when the biggest block in your business is marketing. Learn the fiqh of XYZ when you're dealing with that thing. Learn fiqh, or like the rulings of what's halal and haram in that area of your life when you're doing that thing in that area of your life. Learn about raising kids when you actually have kids. Because most likely, if you learn something here and then 3 years later you're implementing it, you would have forgotten a lot of the stuff. Not to mention, when you're listening to something or reading something and you're going through that thing right now, you understand it to a different level. You don't understand it completely differently because you can see exactly how what they're talking about fits into what you're experiencing, not some hypothetical you in the future. So make all of your learning in line with your goals today, not your goals in 5 years, 10 years. And overall, the big message that I have is have a bias for action. Meaning that if you're ever wondering, should I learn more, plan more, do this, do that, or should I take action? The answer is just take action. Now, something might be whispering in your ear right now, telling you that, but what about if you don't plan correctly, then you'll make the wrong action. And if you take the wrong action, then you would have wasted your time and all of that. Yes, now and then, one time out of 10, one time out of 20, the planning would have been better if you did more of it. The learning would have been better. If you did more of it, then the learning would have helped your action. But 19 times out of 20, 9 times out of 10, whatever it is, it would be better that you just action. We are dying for action takers in 2025. And especially us Muslim men, we need to take it upon ourselves to take this seriously. Because if we're not going to take action for us, for our families, for our ummah, who is? We're the leaders and we need to step up. But just to push this point home, I'll tell you a real story that shows you why taking action is just the best way, no matter what. So there was a pottery class. They were learning to make pots, right, out of clay. And so one group, they were asked to make the most pots they could possibly make, right? I think it was a month that they did this for. So they were just making as many of them that they could. The other group, they were told that they would be scored based on the quality of one final pot that they presented at the end of the month. Now, by the end of this month, who do you think have the best pots? The best pots were all coming from those that were told make the most number of pots. In other words, take loads of action. Whereas the other group was told, plan a lot, learn a lot, think a lot about it, and then make the perfect pot. And so this is a powerful example of why taking action gives you that feedback loop. It allows you to learn from the ugly pot, okay, then make another one. Okay, learn a little bit better. Okay, then make another one, learn a bit better, instead of looking at books, asking a teacher, asking this, and then trying to make one pot. And by the way, when you make one pot, how do you feel about it? You feel a lot of pressure to make it perfect. When you're making 50 pots, you know that if you mess this one up, the next one will be a bit better. I'll have another chance. So take action. This is my message. Now think about it. Just this video. How many tips have I given? How many specifics have I provided? You see, videos like this are a gold mine, and there's loads of them on YouTube and elsewhere. But if you had a gold mine, would you just look around in the soil, find a speck of gold and be happy and walk off? Or would you set up an entire company to mine that gold systematically out of the ground? Treat these videos the exact same way. I want you to mine them. I'm making tons of great videos. That's why you should subscribe, by the way. And there are full 8-hour-long YouTube business full courses out there as well. This is a gold mine. So actually take the effort to dig it out of the ground and benefit from it. Treat it as though it's a $5,000 course that you've bought. And inshallah, you're going to see a lot of benefit and a lot more action taking. Inshallah, you can lose the weight and stop being mentally obese. But now you might be wondering, this has been a great video. It's helped me to push away the content and actually focus on taking action. But how exactly do I take that action? How do I plan my goals and make things very specific and actually get stuff done? Well, I made the perfect video for you. It's how to change your life in 90 days. By change your life, I mean get so much done that your life just looks completely different. So you need to watch that video right now. Go on. I'll see you there. Assalamu alaikum.